Welcome to another Slim Bits episode. This one on episode 9 of Kilroy. This is a very, I like this episode. There's a lot of things on like an artistic level that I wanted to try. You know, here I created this character who could alter Kilroy's perception of reality, so I wanted to get a little more creative with the backdrops and some of the settings. You know, and like for example, one of the first things that you'll notice in this episode is that there's snow on the ground, which I had never really done before, like a snow scene in like my established city backdrop. So that was a neat little thing to try and do. All those zombies! I reused those zombies in a Gamer of Destiny episode, just so you're colorized. And this guy, Atomic Arms or Nuclear Arms, he is I guess he's supposed to be Bane or Atomic Skull or some kind of nuclear-powered comic book villain. But the real villain of our piece is this guy, Mr. Mystify. And I'm not exactly sure who he's meant to be. He's sort of like a Mysterio mastermind, I guess Dr. Psycho style of mentalist villain. But like visually he looks similar to like the leader from The Incredible Hulk and like Ming the Merciless from Flash Gordon. He's just kind of all over the place, but you know, big brain, mental powers. You know, he can make you see whatever he wants. Like that's what you're getting at with this villain, and you know, there are a bunch of examples like that in comics. He is voiced by my friend Danny, an old buddy of mine from high school, and you know, back in the day, I don't know exactly where that voice came from. I don't know if it's supposed to be like his take on Scantron the Magnificent from Clone High, or like Ganondorf from like this old legendary frog cartoon, but Danny did that voice the best, and that's the kind of voice I wanted Mr. Mystify to have. So the appeal of Mr. Mystify here is that he can make Kilroy see and experience whatever he wants, but he has no like real imagination on how to be a proper threat. So he could be the most powerful villain Kilroy's ever faced, but like many of other Kilroy villains, he just falls into this trope of not being a credible threat, and so Kilroy has to spend the episode being a bit of a guiding force for him. Where to begin with this? So I write Kilroy in a very sort of improv style fashion. Because I voice the two main characters, I typically have like just a conversation with myself and work in some jokes through that. So when I was coming up with weird backgrounds and weird effects for Mr. Mystify to throw at Kilroy, it was just kind of like a stream of consciousness, sort of like the fish and rice guy from episode 7. But I would create these scenarios, and I kind of went a little overboard with the basketball game and the lobster barbershop quartet. Oh, I love that my guy was denied 5 there and carried over to the next scene. So yeah, I got like this still frame image from like a basketball game taken from the 1970s. I think I photoshopped out the team logo, and I threw that into the background like an old Muppet Babies inspired flashback sequence. And with like the visuals kind of just being all over the place in this episode, it kind of works. And one of my absolute favorite buttons to any or ending or closing jokes to any Kilroy episode was that that sort of too bad those beach girls didn't stick around. Oh, they were implants. Oh, it didn't look like I don't know. That just seemed like an old timey like Abbott and Costello or some kind of Marx Brothers play on words kind of joke. And just having the barbershop quartet play us off was a nice little touch. You never know how difficult it is to find barbershop music until you actually go looking for it. And yeah, I was really looking for about 20 minutes longer than I thought I'd be looking for a good royalty-free barbershop song. Anyways, that is episode 9. One of my favorite episodes, and probably most evident by how much Danny and I were cracking up in the outtake segment here at the end of the credits. I wish I did this sort of thing more. Such a relaxed atmosphere when I'm recording lines with friends, and that's kind of why I did this entire series to begin with. Just excuse to laugh with friends. Hope you enjoyed watching. Bye.